So having a background in marketing, I know that to have "I am no profit" as a tagline is a little unusual. But this is one of my most favorite pieces of poetry and music by Rachmaninoff. It's a Russian art song, and I love to sing it. I am no prophet. I am no soldier. I am no teacher of the world. I, by the grace of God, am a singer. My weapon is a liar. By the will of God, I create. I avoid alliance with a lie. I talk in song to the heart, in which I rouse a divine spark. I am no prophet. Oops, wrong way. Oops. Sunday mornings in my home are a very sacred time. My husband and I sneak down the stairs, and if we are smart, we grind the coffee the night before because we don't want to wake up our 12-year-old, which is getting easier because he's almost 13, and so, if he would have his way, he'd sleep till noon. So suddenly we find ourselves with a lot of time these days, and this is the time that we vision, we talk about our mountain, we talk about this concept of micro, momentary community, and we talk about how we're going to build our dreams and where we're at and how we're doing. So this morning, I'd like to stay with that, and I'd like to invite you to share some sacred time where I'd like to share with you some of the things that I've learned. Would you like to do that? Awesome. I am, we are, Word. We would not all be in this room if we didn't have something incredibly powerful in common. We have a burning, we have a desire. Where's Christy? We have an inner calling driving us. Do you know, Word, it's not this. Word is all the ways we communicate. Verbally, non-verbally, body language, yeah, we got that. Word is artistry, sculpting, music, touch, eye contact. Do you know that you are a powerful messenger, that you are Word? I want you to really take that in, because with it comes the ability to be magical. We have the ability to persuade, to educate, to influence, to move, to transform. And that's tremendous power. Brian and I were having a beautiful talk about that yesterday. Brian is committed to the return of civility. I love that. To me, I've learned I have a responsibility to use my powers for the upliftment of humanity. This is no small feat. I grew up in a household where I learned to survive. You used words as weapons. I also grew up with the reality that every time I sang, people would cry. So I lived with both, the light and the dark. And I understood from a very early age that I was very powerful. And I bet most of you did too. Yeah. And then how many of us went underground? So I want us to be aware of a fundamental principle. When I learned this teaching, it blew me away. Blew me away. When you look at all the emotions that the human being can feel, all the things, which is what makes us so precious, by the way, there are only two energies on this planet. Love, which is light, which is life, which is a high vibration, which is expansion. Fear, density, contraction. In every moment, you are either living or you are dying. You are either in expansion or you are contracting. With the power that we have, I suggest we become aware of this. So what I've learned I've learned some valuable lessons about where my true power lies. And it's not what I thought. And I had to uncover it and remember it because I forgot. Because of the distortion of my life experience, we do what we have to do to survive. And the journey for me, the joy for me, is to uncover and remember. So where does power lie? For me, what I would share, authenticity. Vulnerability and humility create the natural byproduct of authenticity. You can't manufacture authenticity. You can't tell yourself, I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to, okay, here I am. Doesn't work that way. It's the opposite. It's the letting go. It's the layers coming off. It's the surrender. It's moving through the pain. It's getting to the other side. And every time we're a little more tender, we're a little more vulnerable. And if we got the lesson, we're a little more humble. And I've gotten some huge lessons. This is something, I write poetry and quotes kind of come through. This was one of them. The artist's unfurling lies upon the unavoidable hearth of vulnerability. It's inescapable. If you want to truly express who you are, you must allow yourself to be seen. You must allow yourself the possibility of being hurt. Otherwise, you can't create art from the soul. Any kind of art, any kind of word. There's 5 keys. I've thought a lot about what I've learned, and I've distilled them for you to 5 keys. Embrace everything. I mean, everything. I love the word trigger. Who here knows what triggering means when you get triggered? Yeah. So on a good day, we're maybe triggered only 10 times, right? But we have all kinds of triggers. Little triggers, the people that we work with that are annoying, my husband doesn't put his toothbrush away, triggers. And then we have cataclysmic triggers. And the work is to remain open to the gift, no matter how strange the wrapping paper. Last night, I was talking with Paul. Paul, can I have your attention? Thank you. But we were chatting, and we were talking about, I think, self-doubt, self-worthiness. And I said to him, and I meant it, I walk the walk. And he was like, oh yeah, good for you. And Pat was there. I said, no, I really walked the walk. I've walked the fire. And he said, oh yeah, you've done fire walking? No, that's not the fire I walked. That's the fire I walked. So a year ago, June 25th, and who saw on Facebook my joy at the fact that I completely forgot it was the 1 year anniversary? I had no idea. I completely forgot. At the time, it wasn't. I want to go back to February 2016 because you need to understand the setup for this. My husband and I lived in Albany, New York. Beautiful home, big suburban home. I had a very comfortable life. You know, I was rolling along, doing my workshops, doing my teaching, had my office, it's great. We had the opportunity, privately, to buy 100 mountain acres surrounding this little cabin that we renovated. And I'm from suburbia, but I love the outdoors. And I remember distinctly being in my big pickup truck in the grocery store parking lot in the little tiny town where our cabin is. And it was February. It was dark, it was cold, it was foggy. And I got the windshield wipers going. And I'm on FaceTime with my friend Pat in London. And Pat, I want to ask you, what did you say to me in that conversation?
I said to you, if you want to be an inspirational leader, you have to lead an inspirational life.
If you want to be an inspirational leader, you have to lead an inspirational life. Can I tell you, that tipped the scales for me. And what I realized is that comfort is a soft killer. It will lull you into a who was talking about comas? Who was saying we were in comas? Was that JR? Yeah. Comfort is a soft killer. And thanks to my friend Pat, we went on an adventure. And I know it was in alignment because we renovated the house in record time, put it on the market. Within 4 days, we had a bidding war, cash deal, closed in 6 weeks. We were on our way. Everything was humming, it was rolling. We were having a big picnic. My son was graduating 6th grade. We were on our way. We had a fistful of cash, by the way. We had a fistful of cash that we were going to go north, build our home, and build our community. I get the flu. On June 25th, I had the flu. I had 102 fever. And then 8 o'clock at night, we get the phone call. And I hear my husband say, "What do you mean my building's on fire?" Now here's the kicker. We own a construction business. This was the construction business. And all the contents of our beautiful home, we moved into that warehouse. Everything. I had 2 suitcases and a laundry basket of beach towels and bathing suits. That was 2 vehicles in our construction fleet. That's my husband. I'd like to tell you we were properly insured. We were not. That morning, with 102 fever, I was up all night. I met my husband coming in the door at 5 a.m., and I left at 5 a.m. And he's like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going down there." He said, "No, you're not." I said, "Yes, I am." So by myself, I drive down. I'm pretty delirious. 3 blocks out, I had to park. And the smell and the stench and the heat, and the streets were still running with water because there were still fire crews putting it out. It was a historic fire. You could see it 50 miles around. In fact, my sister's family drove by on the highway. Said, "Oh my God, I wonder who those poor people are." So I go down there. That wall was my Wailing Wall of Jerusalem. I went down on my knees and I gave the universe everything I had. I was pissed. And I cried, and it was actually toxic. We weren't supposed to be down there. There was a reason it was roped off. And I got up, I went home, and I have never looked back. Mark Allen, have I looked back? Have I looked back? No. Because this was a gift. This fire transformed me into freedom. Life broke every single rule for me. So suddenly, there was no box. I didn't have to play by the rules anymore. And when I scanned my horizon line, it was empty. And it was nothing but pure potentiality. I can tell you that's one of the most exquisite states of being to be in. Quite the gift. This fire transformed me and it freed me. Very, very strange wrapping paper. This fire also taught me to be humble enough to receive. Oh, I'm the healer. I'm the leader. I'm the teacher. I help you. Boy, it was very hard for me to be humble enough to receive and to say, yes, we need help. And I learned very quickly that what serves one serves the many. Because it gave people an opportunity to give. It gave them an opportunity to get outside of themselves. And there was so much joy coming at us from people who wanted to help. Who was I to say no? And I learned to be humble enough to say, yes, thank you. And we got some pretty strange things. You'd be surprised. Yes, the sofas, yes, big gift cards and cash. And somebody who owned a little catering business actually brought over 3 dozen frozen hot dogs. Because that's what they thought to do. How sweet is that? Who am I to say no? What's really funny is that we're very creative. This is our glamp slate, by the way. This is New Glampshire. We had been planning, I looked at Airbnb because we had to renovate the cabin, and I looked at Airbnb and rentals were $3,000 a month, and I said, not doing it. I'm a marketer, my husband's in construction, and we're creative. So we had planned on building ourselves like a little place to live, so we did. I stayed in Albany dealing with the business of the fire, which, by the way, the business of tragedy, wow. That's a whole other talk. So he went north and he started excavating and building, and we started to build this. We lived here for 11 weeks. I lived out in the mountain for 11 weeks. But what's really hilarious is when people like my parents would go tell their friends, oh my God, they had the fire and now they're living in a tent. Yeah. We're living under an underpass. So there was something kind of cute and funny about that. Number 3, and Tanya, go fabulous. Perfection is nothing but a hungry ghost. I'm going to say that again. Perfection is nothing but a hungry ghost. First of all, it doesn't exist. Second of all, it has a ravenous appetite and it will never stop. So don't you let it stop you. I used to let it stop me. I used to sing from a place of trying to hide. I was talking to Tony. When I sing authentically, there's no hiding. There's nowhere to go. It's me, my heart, and my soul, wide open. And when I lost everything in the fire, I also lost about 10 opera gowns. And girls, did I have jewelry? Oh. 2 weeks after the fire, I was invited to sing at a birthday party, which is fine, except it was for 600 people in Montreal. So I went shopping for a dress. And my mom went with me, and we were in the formal wear, and I'm like, no, I can't. It's not me right now. This is what I wore. I sang with this, not much more jewelry, not much more makeup for 600 people. Baby, this is it. So who I am right now. But I used to deck myself out to try to hide and to try to bolster. If I looked like an opera singer, oh, that would help. That would set the stage. So forget it. Go for fabulous. Think less of you. Christy, I don't have to say much on this because you did. It's not about me. The winds of life will carve and curve our character. Allow Spirit to uncover your essence. Allow Spirit to finally sculpt you into a piece of art. Let Spirit come through you. So when you use the power of word, you're using it for good and upliftment and service and transformation and support and growth. Finally, be the river. If you're fighting the stream, you ain't gonna get anywhere, and you're gonna tire yourself out. When you're in the flow, ease, grace, magic occur. Creation occurs. When things get a little sticky, I invite you to check in with yourself and see where you are sticky, because that's nothing but an outward reflection of where you are at. We're all flowing to the ocean. We're all going to the same place. Why don't you enjoy the ride and let the current carry you? And when you set your outcomes, when you set your goals, which is imperative, set them, celebrate them, and then let them go. Because the how of where we get to, where we're trying to go, is none of our business. It's none of your business. So get out of the way and let the universe create something more fabulous than you could ever have constructed. Be the river. Here's what I've learned about myself. I have 2 superpowers, probably have more. Dragon song. When I sing and I set my intention, I sing around the planet. It carries around the globe. When I sing, my intentions are beauty and healing. And fireweed. Over and over and over again, I have risen from the ashes of rebirth after rebirth. Because let's face it, I'm not the only one that had a fire. Where's Dr. Emily? Where's JR? Where's Tanya? We all go through the fire. We all go through the fire. It's how you recreate and rebirth and rise. And fireweed is the very first thing that grows in the wilderness after a devastating fire. Life goes on. Nature moves. Transformation. Look how beautiful that is. That's devastation after a fire. So from this place, I invite you to move into a softness within yourself. Maybe maybe a quality that you know you have somewhere in there that maybe you've been disconnected from, shunned, pushed away. And once I get enough water in my mouth, I'm going to sing for you guys. And when I do, I invite you just to be with it Be with yourself. I'm singing for you. To activate that quality. Maybe it's tenderness, maybe it's vulnerability, maybe it's courage. Take a few moments. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Atul. Take a few moments while I prepare, and I'll see you on the other side.